هذا رمضان شهر صفاء الروح فيه الإحسان والأنوار تدور هذا رمضان.
Let's start now with the fifth section in the chapter of prayer, that is the invalidators of the prayer. Bismillah. The author rahimahullah said the invalidators of the prayer are 14. We will speak about 14 different things. If any of them happen, then the prayer would be invalid. They invalidate the prayer. What are these 14 matters? Let's see. Number 1, ritual impurity. So if one becomes in a state of ritual impurity while praying, his prayer becomes invalid. His prayer becomes invalid. Number 2, for a filthy najis substance to fall on one's body or clothing unless it is immediately thrown off without carrying it. Now, in the second slide, I have summarized this method, this point, the second one. And let me mention here the breakdown of this mas'ala. So while one is in the prayer, while one is praying, if a filthy najis substance fell on his clothing, so now we will start with clothing. We have two different things, the clothing and the body. I'll start with the clothing. He is in the prayer. He started his prayer and a filthy najis substance fell on his clothing. Now, if this filthy najis substance is wet or dry, okay? If this filthy najis substance is wet or dry and he can throw it off his clothing, he is able to throw it off his clothing without catching it. And he threw it immediately. His prayer remains valid. His prayer remains valid. Again, he is in the prayer and a filthy najis substance fell on his clothing. He's able to throw it off his clothing, and he did immediately. He threw it off his clothing immediately without catching it. His prayer remains valid. If he is able, but he decides to keep it, not to throw it off, his prayer is invalid. His prayer becomes invalid. Now, if he can throw it off his clothing, then his prayer becomes invalid. This is the mas'ala, the matter regarding the clothing, right? Let's see now the body. If he is in the prayer and a filthy najis substance fell on his body, if this substance is wet, his prayer is invalidated. If this filthy najis substance was dry and he threw it off immediately, his prayer remains valid. If he didn't throw it off immediately, his prayer becomes invalid. This is the summary of the matter and all its details in this slide. Let's continue. Number 3, the uncovering of the unlawful nudity or nakedness. The unlawful nakedness, that is the awrah. We spoke about it previously. So the uncovering of the awrah by, for example, the wind, if it is not covered immediately. Exposing it intentionally invalidates the prayer immediately. What does that mean? So if a person did not cover the awrah, the prohibited nakedness, before starting the prayer, his prayer will be invalid. He did not cover the awrah or part of the awrah before starting with the prayer, and then he made takbir. His prayer is, he entered in the prayer, his prayer is invalid. Why? He did not cover the awrah or part of the awrah. If he covered himself, right, he covered the awrah, he started his prayer, but while praying, the example that he gave is that he was wearing, for example, a qamis and something shorts, for example, underneath the qamis. There is a strong wind It came and lifted up his qamis. And his thigh or part of it was shown, was uncovered during his prayer due to the wind. So all he needs to do now in this case is to cover it, put it down, put the qamis down, cover it, and his prayer is valid, remains valid. He continues his prayer. Okay? That's the example that he gave here. And he mentioned exposing it intentionally, exposing the awra, meaning, or part of it intentionally, it invalidates the prayer immediately. Number 4, intentionally talking with the ordinary talk of the people, even if that were as little as 2 letters or 1 letter with a meaning, like the command to protect or preserve. In Arabic, it's qi, a qaf with the kasra. So, what does he mean by this point? Intentionally talking with the ordinary talk of the people. If one says during the prayer, if one says something among the ordinary talk of the people, and it was only 2 letters, whether they have meaning or they don't have meaning, this invalidates his prayer. So while praying, he said 2 letters, whether they carry a meaning or they don't carry a meaning. In both cases, this invalidates his prayer. Now, if he intentionally says 1 letter that has a meaning, like what? Like the example that he gave, qi, it carries a meaning. It is an order. You're ordering someone to protect himself. Qi. So it's 1 letter, but it carries a meaning. This invalidates his prayer. Okay, let's continue. Doing whatever would break the fast intentionally in the prayer. So anything that breaks the fast, doing it intentionally invalidates the prayer. And we spoke about the invalidators of fasting in a separate session. Number 6, eating a lot forgetfully. Eating a lot forgetfully. So if he forgetfully, meaning he forgot that he is praying, he ate or drank a little. What do you mean by little? Meaning, for example, a sesame seed, something that was in his mouth, he forgot that he is in the prayer, he swallowed it, right? His prayer remains valid. Again, forgetfully. He forgot that he is in the prayer, and that was a little amount, like sesame seed. He ate it, he swallowed it. His prayer remains valid. Now, if he forgetfully ate or drank a lot, this invalidates his prayer. Even that he did that forgetfully. He forgot that he is in the prayer, even though his prayer is invalidated. It becomes invalid. Let's continue. Number 7, doing many consecutive movements. An example is 3 consecutive moves, even if done forgetfully, due to its interruption of the prayer's format. An example, if someone was praying and he walked 3 steps. So these consecutive steps, the 3 steps that he made during the prayer, invalidate his prayer. This is an example. Let's continue. Number 8, an excessive move like leaping, jumping. This invalidates the prayer. Whether it's a small one, big one, it invalidates the prayer. Number 9, adding an integral of action, like bowing twice in 1 rak'ah of the dhuhr prayer, for example. That is intentionally. So if someone was praying, he finishes the ruku', then he went back to the standing position, al-i'tidal, and then he intentionally did another ruku'. He added a second ruku'. It invalidates his prayer. Let's continue. Number 10, going ahead of one's imam by 2 consecutive integrals of action, like for the follower to bow and then come up to the standing position, i'tidal, and then go down to sujood, and the imam is still standing before bowing. Let's demonstrate this case. We have the Imam, right, and Ma'mum behind him. The Imam and the Ma'mum. The Imam is still in standing position. The Ma'mum finished the Fatiha, right? The Imam and the Ma'mum. The Imam, the Ma'mum finished the Fatiha. The Imam is still in the standing position. So what should the Ma'mum do in this case? He's supposed to wait for the Imam to go down, and then he would follow. He's Ma'mum, he's the follower. So when the Imam goes to the ruku', the Ma'mum follows. But what happens is this: the Ma'mum is still in the standing position. The Imam is still in the standing position, and the Ma'mum finishes the Fatiha. Instead of waiting, he went down to the ruku', and the Imam is still standing up in the standing position. So what the Ma'mum did is disliked. He did not wait for the Imam to go. He went ahead of him, and he went down to the ruku'. It is disliked. Now, the Ma'mum, he finished the ruku', the Imam is still in the standing position. Ma'mum finished, and then he went back to the i'tidal. He went back to the i'tidal. Now, what the Ma'mum did is a sin. He committed a sin, but his prayer is still valid. Then the Ma'mum, Imam is still in the standing position. The Ma'mum, he finished the ruku', he went up to the i'tidal, and now he went down for making sujood. His prayer becomes invalid. His prayer becomes invalid. This is the meaning of what we have just read. Going ahead of one's Imam by 2 consecutive integrals of action. The example that I gave you is where the Ma'mum, he went ahead of his Imam by 2 integrals of action. Number 11, to delay, to lag, and be behind the Imam by 2 integrals of action. So in the first example, number 10, we spoke about going ahead of the Imam by 2 integrals of action. Now, lagging and being behind, the delay and being behind the Imam by 2 integrals of action. Let's continue. Without an excuse. Without an excuse. What would an excuse be, a valid excuse? He said, an excuse is like if one is slow in reciting Al-Fatiha. That is an excuse. And then he gave an example. An example of a delay that invalidates the prayer is for the Imam to make ruku', then stand up, then go down to the sujood, whereas the follower is still standing and has yet to bow. Let's demonstrate it. Imam and the Ma'mum, okay? So what's happening here is that the Imam went to the ruku', and the Ma'mum finishes the Fatiha. Okay, the Ma'mum finishes the Fatiha. So he has finished the Fatiha. He has no excuse. He's supposed to follow, but he decided to stay up, to stay standing. So the Ma'mum is now in the ruku'. The Imam in the ruku', the Ma'mum is standing. He finished the ruku', he went back. Imam is now in the i'tidal. The Ma'mum decided to stay standing. He didn't follow. And then the Imam went to the sujood, and the Ma'mum has no excuse. He has already finished Al-Fatiha, but he decided to stay up. Now his prayer becomes invalid. When the Imam goes down to the sujood, the Ma'mum would have been delayed behind the Imam by 2 integrals of action. This is the example. Number 12, the intention to interrupt the prayer, by which the prayer is immediately invalidated. So if, for example, if he's praying, one is praying, and he intended to interrupt his prayer, let's say in the second rak'ah, it is immediately interrupted. It is immediately invalidated. Number 13, to make interrupting the prayer contingent upon something, like if one were to say in one's heart, if someone knocks on the door, I will interrupt my prayer. In this case, one's prayer becomes invalidated immediately. Another example is if one is waiting for an important call and he entered he made the takbir, he started praying, and then he said in his heart, when I receive the call, I'm gonna cut my prayer, stop my prayer, and take the call. So cutting the prayer or stopping the prayer contingent upon what? Upon receiving the call. This also interrupts. This invalidates the prayer. Number 14, to hesitate about interruption. What does hesitate mean? Let's see, that is to hesitate whether or not to interrupt the prayer. In this case, one's prayer becomes invalidated. Someone is, for example, knocking the door, and the one who is praying, he started hesitating. Should I interrupt and go open the door, or I continue my prayer? He hesitated about this. He became hesitant. This invalidates his prayer.
هذا رمضان شهر صفاء الروح فيه الإحسان